Hey, welcome back to Sidebar Social. I'm Dana Stewart.
And I'm Jennifer Grinke. How was your weekend?
It was great. Yeah.
Would you do anything fun?
Yeah, I did. It was one of my best friend's birthday parties. He turned 50. So his wife threw a big Havana-themed party out at Lake Louisville. And it was pretty wild. Yeah. They had a lady there with all these nice hand-rolled cigars.
Okay.
And I did partake. I had way too many of them. So it's a good thing we're not going through our insurance screening again. Remember that?
Oh, yeah, the life insurance.
Yeah. So we got life insurance on each other. And Jen's concerned about my extracurricular activities with some of the things I do. They're kind of high risk. So she wanted to get life insurance on me. And so she does have it now. But during the process, I got dinged on the health screening because it said I had nicotine.
Chronic smoker.
And I'm like, they don't. Yeah. And it was crazy because people who know me know that I'm a psycho about health.
So he brings his lunch to work every day. He eats like, is it 6 or 8 meals a day? 7 meals a day, all spread out, all the same things. Like I'll just come in his office and he's like just gobbling down handfuls of spinach. His Popeye is at the office.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to go through an appeal for that whole problem. We almost didn't get life insurance. They thought I was like a chain smoker.
Like 20 more thousand.
It was like one cigar after a celebration and they dinged me for it. So anyway, if we have to get tested again, then we're screwed.
We're screwed.
You're not getting any more life insurance on me.
Good.
You better be good with what you get when I die.
Yeah.
What about your weekend?
Yeah, it was pretty good. Nothing too crazy. The fish is still alive.
Okay.
You were wondering
All
about
right.
Flyer.
So we're on episode 10, folks, and Flyer the fish is somehow still alive.
Still alive.
Yeah. People at home don't know that the first 2 died. Well, one died and one's MIA.
We can't find one. He jumped out.
How you lose a fish is crazy to me.
I think it jumped out of the cage or something, like the fish tank.
Yeah, I don't get it. You got the Houdini of fish.
Still haven't found that fish.
All right, but Flyer's
Rosie.
alive. And then how about London, your dog?
The dog's doing well.
Back from training.
Back from training. Has been acting great, actually. I think I like dogs now.
Okay.
So,
Oh, what?
Yeah.
There we go. There's a first. Money well spent, huh?
Yeah.
Only 3 months of training.
Yeah, only 3 months of training.
Now, are you continuing the training at home? I don't really see you doing that. No offense.
Okay, that's not very nice. I'm not so good at the training.
I rest my case.
I wasn't going to let the dog on the couch. The dog's on the couch. Actually, today, the dog was on the couch on top of a pillow like a queen.
No dog in your house would be any other way, though. I feel like they have to be treated like royalty. I mean, her name's London, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah. So today we're fortunate. We have 2 of our colleagues and also friends. We have Lindsay and Natalie on. How are you guys?
Doing good.
Good.
Welcome to the show.
Having us.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks for coming.
on.
Lindsay, do you want to tell us just, a little bit about where you work, what you do?
Yeah, so I'm a mortgage loan officer. I work in the DFW area, but I lend throughout the United States. So I help people buy a house.
Cool. What company do you work at?
Homestead Financial Mortgage.
Okay. And what about you, Natalie?
I work at a title and appraisal company, Clear Title and Appraisal. I do their business development and sales. So I have the fun job of podcasts and events and dinners and lunches and breakfast. But we also help, as a title office, get title for your houses and appraise your houses.
So this is not your first podcast?
Oh, no, it's
How
not.
many have you been on?
2.
Okay.
So I'm still.
Wait, 2 including this one? Or
This will be my third.
Third. Okay. So you're a pro.
I don't.
Yeah. What about you, Lindsay? Have you been on a podcast before?
I have. I have been on a
both.
podcast.
How many?
Yeah. I would have to count, but I think 4 or 5.
Wow.
Good.
With an attorney before, talking about, all the things, getting a divorce, having gone through it myself. But then I've done a couple just specific realty related.
All right, Lindsay. Question for you. Well, scenario. We oftentimes have clients who feel like they want to keep the house when they're going through divorce, but they feel like there's no way they're ever going to qualify.
Absolutely.
And we know through working with you that there is a way, that even somebody who didn't work could qualify. But could you help the audience understand how that's even possible?
Well, I can speak to that myself because I was that single or stay-at-home mom that didn't work, that needed to figure out a way to qualify to purchase my home or refinance the home. So the biggest things are getting a job. And I know that's hard for a lot of moms, even if it's part-time work, to start showing some sort of income coming in. The other aspect is if they receive alimony or child support. I guess Texas considers it spousal support. So if they receive either of those items, we can use that to qualify them. We have to see 6 months of those payments in order to qualify that. The beauty of that, this gets technical, but we can gross it up by 25%. So whatever they're receiving, we can give them additional 25% towards their qualification because it's non-taxable income. So they can use that to qualify to either purchase or refinance the house into their name.
What would you suggest in terms of if somebody stays home and they are wanting to keep the house, at what point should they start talking to a lender?
From the beginning. They want to know exactly where their credit is. A lot of women don't understand their credit, don't know what's on their credit, because that will affect their qualification, their credit score, and then their debt to income ratio, which essentially is all of their current liabilities, credit card debt, that home loan, student loans, personal loans, car loans, against the new purchase and their income. So we really need to take a holistic approach, looking at everything combined in order to get them to qualify. So from the beginning, knowing what do you need to make, what do you need to receive in child support, how do they work with you guys as their legal backing to get the right amount of child support or spousal support in order to qualify.
So Natalie, you do title work, correct?
Yes.
So at what point in the home buying or refinancing process for, let's say, a single mom who's trying to keep the house and buy out her spouse, at what point would you come into the equation?
So normally if it's a buyout, if the mom's trying to stay in the house and take the house over where the husband's no longer on the title, once we get that from the lender saying that they are refinancing, we have to do our due diligence to make sure that there's debts are paid off, that there's nothing that's going to be tied to the house that's going to prevent it from fully going into her name. With the divorce, there's lots of hanging fruits, I guess, that we have to make sure if there was a ton of debts that were accrued together, we have to make sure that all those debts are clean. So when the wife does own that property, she's not surprised few years down the road when she's ready to sell that there's all these liens and stuff against her property that maybe her spouse at the time contributed to. And so we have awesome people in my office that run all those and make sure that everything's clear and she's on a new road, a new chapter.
Have you seen a situation where a client of yours did not know about debts that were out there that the other spouse maybe had in their name? Has that ever come up?
Oh, yes. That happens a lot. And even if it's not even a divorce, I feel like this might soon be a divorce.
That's grounds for it. Yeah.
Yes. Like where they're maybe selling their house and come to find out there's debts that one party did not know about that the other one had. So I feel like we see that all the time. We see all the skeletons in the closet, especially when it comes to a divorce, especially at that end. I feel like they got there for a reason. My mom always said finances is a huge factor when it comes to divorce.
Yeah.
So I feel like those always come out in the divorce cases where there's all these hidden skeletons.
You're shaking your head, Lindsay, agreeing. So you've seen it too?
Oh, absolutely. When I pull credit for anybody, whether they're buying, refinancing, or going through a divorce, there's many scenarios where something comes up on someone's credit and the other spouse isn't aware of it. Or a woman who, again, hasn't checked their credit, and I pull credit to look at them buying out that house or refinancing something, and there's something on their credit that the other spouse has put on their credit for them. And that's something that needs to, at the beginning of the divorce process, be looked at. So again, you guys can help them negotiate getting that paid off by the spouse that put it on their credit, something that can be handled early in the divorce versus at the end trying to scramble to get that fixed.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was an eye-opener in my own personal divorce.
Oh, really?
Where I was stay-at-home mom for the last 5 years of my divorce, so I felt like I had no control of the finances. I didn't even know how to log in to see our bank account. So when it came down to the divorce, I was like, I went from having a perfect credit score, entering it, to needing a co-signer when I had to get a new car. I can thankfully say it's been 4 years. We're good. I got my car on my own.
It's
my
electric.
Credit score. It's electric.
You don't even need gas. You get that prime parking spot.
I'm back.
D-Star.
I'm back. But it was rough. It was definitely an eye-opener.
Follow us and join the conversation on Instagram and YouTube at Sidebar Social. I feel like you both are very passionate about helping women, maybe even especially like single moms or women who stayed home and are coming out of a divorce, get to that next step. What are kind of some of the success stories that you both have seen?
I think that passion comes from the experience itself. Once you've gone through it, you understand what other people are walking through. Yeah. And when you've been able to come to the other side and feel like you've gotten through that dark time, that difficulty, you want to help other people in the same scenario. I'll tell you, I just helped a single mom get into a house. They closed about a month ago, and that mama walked into that house basically with nothing. So there's programs and assistance out there to help moms. Even when you feel like you can't do it, don't be scared. Don't be scared to have the conversation and educate yourself and find experts like yourselves and Natalie and I to help you get into a home. So this single mom had worked really hard to save up money, but just felt like she didn't have enough cash in the bank to buy. Well, I was able to help her with down payment assistance, seller's credit, her agent helping negotiate those things and getting her into the house literally with no money paid. Wow, she walked away from closing with zero cash paid. And that's huge because most of the time we have this conception that you need a lot of money saved and you need a perfect credit score. You don't. You really don't have to. And there's options and opportunities. Come talk to us. We'll figure out ways and if you can't do it today, we'll give you a path forward to get to that place to buy.
Okay. So even if they're not ready today, you'll come up with a plan for them and say, hey, you need 6 more months. You need a year. Here's what you need to do to get to the closing.
Absolutely. So I'll help somebody with their income. Hey, this is the amount of money that you need to pay. Hey, this is your credit, what needs to be paid down or paid off. One, to help raise your credit score, but also to balance your debt to income ratio, which is a big qualifying factor. So letting them know what liabilities they need to pay off. Maybe that's something they can negotiate in the divorce. And then also giving them a plan forward. What can you afford? What does that look like? What area can you purchase in that budget? And what does that look like for your family? Maybe it's just a starter home today, or maybe it's a year forever home, but what does that look like? How can we get you to that qualifying? And really a big key part of that is working with you guys as their attorneys to negotiate that in their divorce to set them up for success long term.
Well, I think that's why it's important, as you said earlier, to get that process going right away. So I think for the audience at home, if they're interested in financing for a house, then they need to get with you or someone in your company to be able to make this happen right away, to get that roadmap to follow.
Yeah, and I think that's where we partner well together, is working from the beginning to ensure they're not just getting a divorce, right? That's a key factor that you guys are helping with, but getting them to a place where they feel like they're on the other side of it. And that means financial wellness, happiness, being settled, and really just moving forward in the best way for them.
What about you, Natalie? Have you had any personal experience with kind of some of the same things that Lindsay's talking about? Just any success stories?
Yes, I feel like my job is always the title office. Most of the time we always have the happy stories.
Well, you have the money. You have the money. So I feel like we're the ones. You're the payday. So
the key over. Yeah. So I feel like we're always the happy ones, unless it's obviously not a great divorce or they didn't have a great attorney to back them and they don't even know where to start. So the wife is forfeiting her house. Those aren't the great ones. But most of the time, I feel like when you're coming to the title office and you're at that closing table, you are signing the paperwork, but you're also like starting a new chapter. And we see single moms all the time, maybe moms who it's their first house from divorce, and this is a new chapter for them. And I always pop the bottles. I have the champagne.
Excellent.
It's awesome. Some that have brought tears to my eyes. There was a mom we did through other like what Lindsay was talking about, different options out there that people don't even know, where she thought she would never ever be able to own a house in her life. She kind of came from a lower upbringing where she didn't know these options were out there for her. And that was probably the most touching closing I did. She was a single mom of 2 kids. And she's like, for me to be like the first person in my entire family, even my mom, to actually be in a house. We've always lived in apartments, and to say that she owns something. So it's really cool.
That's really special.
Yeah.
So one thing that we've dealt with before in a divorce decree, you both may be aware of this, but you could have it set up where one spouse has to pay X amount of debts, like the credit card debt or the car loan, and then oftentimes they don't pay it. And so we try to, when we can, if there's going to be a house that's being sold or refinanced, try to take some of the proceeds to pay off debts. And I just wonder if you could speak a little bit about that, Natalie, as far as the options of being able to put language in an order that from the home proceeds, the credit card gets paid off or whatever. I mean, that is possible. I don't know if everybody knows that it's possible, though.
Yes, that definitely is possible. I wish I knew that was possible when I went through my divorce, because we see it all the time when there is a divorce situation and the equity of the house is being split. That equity can be put towards if there was a car that still needed to be paid off that the husband was going to take possession of. Well, that's his car now. He's going to have that proceed, like, to make sure it's split even, like, where it made sense for someone's not going to get burned in the end.
Right.
So the title company will actually make that payment. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Coming from, like, the husband's proceeds.
Right.
If it's going to be his car he's taking, then she shouldn't be having to take on his debt after the divorce is finalized. So being the title office, we make sure that his debts are being paid with his money that he's getting at that closing table, and vice versa. It's very important that that is something that the attorney gives us, that is ordered by the judge during that divorce process. We have a lot of times where they're like, oh, well, he's supposed to be doing this. Well, if we don't see the documentation from the court, we don't know.
You can't do anything. Well, and what is good about that is then when it's out of in that scenario, the husband is supposed to pay that car debt, it's in both their names, and by the title company paying it, now the wife in that scenario has peace of mind of that debt is actually paid. Whereas if it wasn't in the court order, the husband may just decide, I'm not paying it, and now the wife or ex-wife's credit gets ruined.
Yep.
Yeah. And I know, like, what we do is we'll communicate directly with the title agent so that one of the spouses can't say, hey, no, they're supposed to do this or they're not supposed to do this. I'm personally sending them the order and saying, here's how the breakdown needs to go.
Right.
Yes. And we do our due diligence, we only go by the order.
Yeah.
There's a lot of he said, she said, and we're like, that means nothing to us unless we see the court order document saying that's how it's supposed to be.
To learn more about Grinke Stewart Family Law, visit GrinkeStewartLaw.com. Now, okay, Lindsay, question for you. We talked earlier, you mentioned credit score. So could you help educate the audience about, if they're looking at refinancing? I'm sure there's a lot of variables, but what are you looking at to help somebody to know that they could maybe qualify when it comes to a credit score? Is there a range? Like what's the minimum amount if there is one?
There isn't really a minimum amount, but under 580, we're probably not going to be able to do anything. 580 to 620 is a gray area. You probably can go FHA. Over 620, you have a lot more options. So if I look at somebody's credit, I can actually run a scenario and give them specifics to get to that 620 credit score. So I can tell them, pay this credit card down to this exact number. I can tell them, in your divorce, have this item paid off completely. That will get you to this credit score. So I can give them steps to get to 620.
Got it. And if somebody wants to work with you, then how does that work when they come to you? Are they paying a fee up front? How does that work? Could you explain that?
No fee, no cost. I'm just happy to help somebody. Now, if we can get them to closing, that's amazing. But I don't charge somebody anything to look at their credit or give them guidance what to do.
That's really cool.
And I just want to stress that it's very important for everyone to check their credit. You can do it online for free yourself once a year, pull your credit. I can also pull your credit. I can do a soft credit pull so it doesn't affect your credit score, but everyone has the ability to check their credit and to monitor their credit. That's something everyone should be doing. And somebody should always have credit as well. I see a lot of stay-at-home moms that don't have any sort of credit. So have your own credit card or have a joint credit card with a spouse, because you do want to be building your own credit as well. Good credit.
Are you monitoring your credit, Jen?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Good. I'm good. Proud of you. Yeah. Just checking.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would be surprised how many times we have a client come to us and their spouse has been using their credit behind their back for like business loans, credit cards, and then there's all these debts out there, or they might have a lower credit score, and we send them to you and we're like, hey, help us.
Yeah, work your magic.
Yeah.
So the beauty of a payoff that we were talking about earlier with title helping directly pay those debts, when I'm qualifying somebody, if it's in their decree that that's going to be paid off, I can qualify them preemptively knowing that that's going to be paid off. So same day, they could close on the sale of their marital home and purchase a new home with those debts being paid off directly by the title company. That's something that will get through underwriting and get them to closing, knowing that it's in the decree and title is going to have that paid off.
Yeah, that's a really helpful tip.
We appreciate both of you guys coming on the podcast today. I feel like everyone at home, including ourselves, has a lot more knowledge about the mortgage process and the title process. So thank you both for that. And thank you for your passion and everything you're doing out there for single moms and women who stayed home who are coming out of a divorce. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Now, before we leave, I got to put you on the hot seat, Lindsay.
Yes.
So
he always does this. He has like secret things he keeps in his back pocket.
Yeah. He didn't prepare me for this.
Exactly.
This is what he does to me every week.
I felt that we had a pretty good friendship. And then a few months ago, maybe it was a month ago, you sent me an email saying that you thought maybe Jen's your favorite now.
Oh, here we
so
go.
I'm just curious, who's your favorite?
It's a do or die.
Okay, she's going to be Switzerland now.
I will be Switzerland. I love you both. I actually think you guys are both absolutely amazing.
I'm her favorite.
Okay, we'll let Jen have that win, but okay, just had to put you on the hot seat.
I did own that Jen was my favorite at that moment, 100%.
You did. I saw that and I cried, but it's okay.
So sorry.
I'm over it now. It's all right. Yeah, but thank you both for coming on. You both do great work, and we're great to have you as resources for our clients. So just want to thank you again for taking time out of your busy days and for doing the excellent work that you do with all your clients.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right, folks. We'll see you next time on Sidebar Social.
Our guest, Lindsay Menz, is with Homestead Financial Mortgage. You can follow her on Instagram at Lindsay Menz Home Mortgage. That's Lindsay with an A, Menz with a Z. Natalie Andrews is with Clear Title and Appraisal Company. You can follow the company at cleartoclose.us. That's clear2close.us. Cleartoclose.us is also their website.